Welcome to the show, ladies and gents, and thank you for bearing with us through the slight technical difficulties that Twitch TV was clearly having, but all is good now. We are back and we are ready to get some tank action underway, and we are obviously getting through the match days now. We are into match day 4 in Season 4, a brand new season. We've had a lot of upsets already, haven't we? And what a great way we've had. The teams start building themselves over the last couple of play days, and we've got some great games today, but why don't you give us a bit of a refresher on what we saw on the last play day?
So we've really been having a lot of upsets. I think for this season, it's a little bit more than for the other seasons. Of course, we've had plenty of upsets at the beginning of previous seasons, but this one's been pretty incredible. What comes to mind is Lucky Kuraki beating TCM Gaming 3-2. And also C-Play losing 3-0 to Evil Panda Squad. That was in the previous match day. You can just check the VODs out on youtube.com/WGLU if you didn't miss out on them. But there's the rankings altogether. Virtus Pro sitting at the top, followed by Kazna Crew.
Yeah, surprising, but also not surprising with Kazna. Obviously, the additions and the changes they made clearly paying off. Their Alien at the helm doing the job. But yes, as you said, I think the big thing for me is Lucky Kuraki in third. Very surprising for a team that we've always seen as being, obviously very competent, but seeing them really shaking up that scoreboard. And School Bus down in 7th, another real surprise. Obviously, not what you'd expect to see from a team that was certainly always within that top 3 in the previous seasons. Not getting off to the best of starts this time around. Freefall, doing well for themselves. Denial, another little bit of a shame. Another team that used to be up in that top 3, really having that rocky, shaky start. But then again, under Mousesports, they used to do the same thing. So we kind of have to wait to see how this evolves, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you were mentioning, Denial, it's always a team that's not so good at the beginning of seasons. They've always struggled a little bit. Usually towards the middle, the later stage of the season, that's where we see Denial get back up to that third, fourth position. We really get to know them to stick around at. And I think as we do go through these match days, match day 4 now, things will start evening out. We can see how many teams are on 6 points. Pretty much today could really shape which teams are in that top 5 because there are so many on 6 points. For me, I think my game for today is TCM versus C-Play. I think that's the most interesting one. I think that's one which is going to change the standings the most.
Yeah, it certainly would if it goes that way. But I think I have to look at the first game that'll be coming up. And obviously, we do have a great couple of games today. I can't stress that enough. And I think you said it perfectly. It will mold what we're going to be seeing coming into this, I can imagine. So the first game coming up will be Lucky Kuraki up against Evil Panda Squad. Now, currently, Lucky Kuraki very much at the top end of the table, whereas Evil Panda Squad, not a bad performance so far, but certainly looking to cement themselves a little higher, let's say, in that ranking, followed by your match of the day, TCM up against C-Play, and even off the back of that, we get to see Kazna Crew, the team who've been really paving the way to the very top, against the Leprechauns, who've had some surprisingly good results. Now, I feel there could be some upsets here, but why don't you take me through your predictions quickly for each matchup here?
Well, Evil Panda Squad put the upset against C-Play in the previous match day, and Lucky Kuraki did the same against TCM Gaming. So for me, I really can't call the first game. If I had to say, it would go to Lucky Kuraki because they have been so formidable, so incredible. Their predictions have just been absolutely on point. Whereas Evil Panda Squad, yeah, they've done well against C-Play, but they haven't really turned. They're just Evil Panda Squad we've seen before plus 10%. I'm not sure if that's enough to beat Lucky Kuraki, who have been fantastic. C-Play versus TCM, honestly, I have no idea. Looking back at the previous match, they C-Play definitely will lose that. But considering how they played against School Bus and Virtus Pro, if they do play that level of standard, then they are going to be able to beat TCM Gaming. And finally, Drooling Leprechauns versus a Kazna Crew. Drooling Leprechauns will have to take that one, in my opinion.
Wow, okay, so that's pretty decisive, and I think we need to start looking towards the teams that we're going to be seeing first of all, and obviously the lineup behind them. The players will be in the tanks, they'll be pretty much paving the way throughout this game. And Lucky Kuraki, Bishu, Jamal, Kelly, a lot of good players, but I still feel that Matt PL, McMoney, Kuraki, big heavy hitters in that lineup that I want to be looking to see perform. But EPS, who should we be looking at here?
A new Multishow, obviously, the extraordinary player at the top of Evil Panda Squad, also loses their games because he's really on his own. That's the problem, because he does like to roam, he does like to be out of position, play as a lone wolf, which can be a strength and it can also be a weakness, as often these kind of things are. Polsved also been doing pretty well, and that's caused me Evil Panda Squad. Also, pretty impressed with him altogether. But you mentioned Lucky Kuraki, the team on the left. Kelly, for me, been absolutely extraordinary. Kelly PL from Panzerfist originally. If you just head on to e.wgleague.net and you click on Hall of Fame, you can actually check out all the stats, and he's pretty high up there.
So certainly a good couple of people to be keeping our eyes on, but let's have a quick deeper look into these teams and how we've rated them so far in this. And Lucky Kuraki, I think we might need to adjust it soon, because they are really starting to build some momentum from the very start of this season, looking extremely competent throughout, certainly surprising some of the top teams. And we just have to see how they can do. You know, the big question now in my mind is consistency. Can they consistently beat these other teams? Can they keep this amount of pressure up and, you know, constantly in their faces? Because we've seen other teams having brilliant starts at the start of a brand new season, but then they just fade away. For me, we need to see Lucky Kuraki being able to extend this and keep that pressure on. But EPS, you know, a bit of a different creature altogether, a bit of a different team in comparison to Lucky Kuraki. And I'm looking forward to seeing, obviously, EPS's kind of take on how to take them down.
Evil Panda Squad, they need to be aggressive, they need to be quick, they need to be flowing, because for Lucky Kuraki, their strength so far is being able to predict and being able to, you know, outplay the other teams in terms of their thinking game. They have a good map awareness. They know where the other team is all the time, and they really can keep tabs on you that way. Evil Panda Squad need to keep on moving. They need to keep on being quick on their toes, quick on their feet, and I think they'll do well against Lucky Kuraki, but they definitely need to keep that in mind. Otherwise, Lucky Kuraki's going to outplay them, they're going to outposition them, and most of all, they got the players in overall to beat them in terms of skill. They got a more consistent lineup, in my opinion.
They definitely do, and we do need to start kind of looking towards that first map. And take me through the tanks we've seen so far, because the first map will be Ruinberg. And what are we seeing coming out from these two? Sure.
So Ruinberg, pretty standard these days, actually. Obviously, the teams are starting to pick IS-3s a little bit more. Lucky Kuraki have picked two of them alongside the two 50-100s, AMX 3090, and of course the two tier 1s to make up the point difference. Double 50-100, AMX 3090 times 2 T69 double T1. Something a little bit more standard, a little bit more vanilla from Evil Panda Squad. Whilst Lucky Kuraki, as you would expect, that team, they've liked their heavy setups. They're going to be picking the little bit more heavy lineup, a little bit more firepower, a little bit more HP, but also a little bit slower.
Well, guys, let's get ready for that first map, Ruinberg. So, welcome to the first map. It's going to be Ruinberg, and in the north, in blue, it's Evil Panda Squad. The team who've got the talent, but can they put it into the right place? And Lucky Kuraki, the breakout team of the season, in the south, in red. And what are they starting with here?
So Lucky Kuraki, they've got that double IS-3 combo with a 50-100. So they are going to be going towards the city. Remember, against TCM, where they managed to beat them, they played pretty much all towards the city. Indeed, it was from the south as well. So I'm expecting pretty much a similar tactic. Look for that middle area, keep control of the F-road. If the other team caps, put your AMX 3090 with your tier 1s near the cap, put them in there, get the counter cap going, and obviously you have the two IS-3s and two 50-100s. You pretty much got enough firepower and HP to really contest anything that the other team has going for you. And for the side of Evil Panda Squad, pretty standard thing from the north, heading up towards that city. Teams are starting to, shy away from the middle line engagement a little bit more. Now we've got the blind picks. You can't always go for that, and it wouldn't be a good idea for Evil Panda Squad to engage Lucky Kuraki because of those IS-3s.
Well, Numocho has backed away there. He's going to be in that 1390. He did immediately go down towards the kind of F line where we see, normally the 1390s going head-to-head almost, but obviously adjusting accordingly, considering there's no immediate challenge. Raging Potato doing the same. And T69 now alongside him. So these guys are playing it smartly, actually, and I think EPS kind of know what they're coming up against. You can work it out from what they've not seen, as well as Matt PL does get spotted out, and a couple of shots do go through, but not too much just yet. And it looks like EPS going back to a more defensive posture as well, with little to no vision within that city. You can't quite tell exactly where they are.
Well, Evil Panda Squad know kind of where Lucky Kuraki is in some respects. They spotted out Matt PL in a very similar position he was against TCM Gaming, and Evil Panda Squad must have watched the VODs back. They must know where Lucky Kuraki is in general, so they can kind of formulate a strategy to get them beaten here. But it is going to be hard because they have to deal with so much HP. NK does get spotted by, I believe, Polsved there in the MX in the tier 1. I think actually it might probably not him. It's probably Nazcosmi there in the MX 3090. But you know, it's in the 5100 even. But it's more about how Evil Panda Squad plays and how Lucky Kuraki plays. Although it is one of their favorite maps, Lucky Kuraki, they prefer to move on to something like Cliff. Where it is indeed their favorite map, Cliff, and they obviously ban out mines every single time. If a team wants to beat Lucky Kuraki, then they just have to play mines. They've never played it a single time. They've always banned out CNNK getting spotted once again. So, you know, these two teams are just gonna duke it out a little bit. Evil Panda Squad over towards their base, waiting for Lucky Kuraki to push in for a cap. That's obviously not gonna happen, and Evil Panda Squad, they've got a tier 1 in K0, making sure that the flank isn't coming, and also the tanks in the F row just to provide support, provide firepower, and provide information.
Yeah, and very early on, Lucas did catch a little bit of a shell as soon as he peered round, and so HP slightly taken away from EPS, but not too much damage done early on. But you know, the normal slower game we're seeing here when he does go down this sort of route, and as you noticed, obviously Yankees still sitting up by that village. Couple of shots going. I don't think there's any connections towards Lucky Kuraki, actually. I think they're sitting completely healthy right now, and at the moment, who has the advantage here? Is there an advantage, or is it very much a stalemate?
There's no advantage here at all. Both teams just, you know, Lucky Kuraki, with that lineup, it's almost impossible for Evil Panda Squad to push in and be successful. They have to be absolutely on point. You have to get everything correct to be able to beat Lucky Kuraki with so much HP, so much firepower, which is making it very hard for them to push. It's making it very hard for them to be offensive. They can't see a way in because there isn't one really. And where Lucky Kuraki's weakness lies is the fact that once Evil Panda Squad does go for the engagement, then if they get it correct, then they won't be able to react because they got slow tanks. But again, you know, you need the first to have the second. It takes two to tango, and I don't think Evil Panda Squad is going to be able to commit to that. It's going to be more of a stalemate where the Lucky Kuraki really has any options. I would say the only option they have is cap, because you know, engagement would mean pushing against an enemy that has superior positions. They are further up the map, they are higher up, and also they get the first shots because they are stationary and they are behind cover.
So, 5 minutes left. I've seen Raging Potato come back to a more defensive area, trying to make sure that cap does not happen. He does have the rest of the side obviously up towards the north there, as you can see earlier on. Lucas, the man who's only just taken a bit of damage. Right now, there's actually very minimal movement. Yankees actually falling back as well in the 1390. Maybe expecting a little bit of a cap pressure soon, but nothing really happening by the looks of it. A bit of adjustment over on the Lucky Kuraki side as well.
Yeah, and that's Mac Money even is just heading over towards Kuraki in the tier 1. Not sure exactly what they have in mind, but it does, you know, it's kind of strange because I guess Mac Money is going in that position to stop a cap basically.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they did against TCM Gaming. They put Kuraki and Mac Money in the cap in that position. And as soon as TCM Gaming pushed into their cap, they just responded with Kuraki and Mac Money. Simple as that. But it's a risky strategy because Mac Money is sitting in a combat tank, you know, very high damage dealing tank. That MX 3090 can do 1,440 damage. If it connects all 6 shells, it average 240. So it is a risky move from Kuraki to kind of divide their resources in that respect.
Yeah, if that doesn't pay off, they could be in trouble. And I've got to see now, Yankees is coming around towards the cap. 3 minutes and 40 seconds left on the board. There's not a lot of time to work with. I'm curious to see if there's anyone willing to commit here. As you said, no one's really got that firm advantage. Lucky Kuraki have options, but not ideal ones. And Evil Panda Squad are in between a rock and a hard place when they're playing a team who pretty much taken this posture. And do you think this might end up being a draw?
Yeah, it's a good chance. I mean, It's not like Lucky Kuraki
Yeah.
picked a lineup that was capable of really being beaten by Evil Panda Squad at any point in time. It would just be too hard. As I said, firepower HP definitely not in the favor for Evil Panda Squad. So there's a good chance McMoney now starting to play a little bit more aggressively in that AMX 3090, surging forwards. He's looking for that tier 1 Zig Skorzny in a pretty standard position. OBX, Matt PL also joining on the left with the AMX 5100 and no, the double IS3. Actually, it's just the double IS3s going forward. So they are looking for that tier 1, and they are looking for a little bit of an engagement with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left.
That's fine if they can find Zagorny now. He is obviously sat down, tucked away. Does manage to spot out object there, but that's it. Now they'll get a decentish idea of where he is as well. Let's keep that in mind. If you're being spotted out, you might be in trouble. He's got the 2 IS3s to the right. He's got Money to the left. He could be in trouble here. I can imagine he's going to go down. He can't really do much of a fight, but we are seeing a couple of shells elsewhere. Numolcho obviously turning his turret around and keeping eyes on Matt PL. There goes Zagorny. Matt Money does move in for the kill there. That's the tier 1 down. But now Matt PL and Object in a little bit of an interesting predicament, because we are seeing a little bit of an engagement here between these two.
Yeah, I think the IS3s are just playing a little bit of a distraction game, but it doesn't look like it's worked because resources from Evil Panda Squad are still committed over towards the cap to stop the two 5100 Kelly and Bishu. So whether these two IS3s can make a difference, we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, Object is going low. If he was going to make a difference, he's going to have to do it soon. Matt PL now needs to lead the way. He is taking that damage like a champion, but Object surely going to go down. One more shell. He is out of there now. Matt PL on the push. He's on his own. He's trying to back away, find some cover behind his previous teammate, but it's too little too late. McMoney a little late to the scene, but as you said, was that a distraction play? Because it doesn't look like it's gone too well.
It doesn't look like McMoney is going to try and make this work.
Well, here we go. So Cap is on. NASCAR's coming around the side. He's got Raging Potato with him. McMoney is in trouble. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this. One more shell and he is down. That is the side move taken away, but now it's back into the bigger action. That cap is still happening. Numolcho on the run in. He needs to reset this one. 18 seconds on that. 3 tanks in it. He's playing this smart. He's going for a bit of a drive-by shot here. Right around the back of that 5100. Beautiful play. Setting that boy on fire. Kelly could be in trouble now. And Numolcho doing what he does best. Just dealing the damage, even in a 1390. Taking it to the 5100 and still doing the work he needs to do. So well played then to EPS, only losing a tier 1 so far. Kelly will fall, and EPS picking up the first map here of Ruinberg.
Impressive stuff from Evil Panda Squad. They managed to react of Lucky Kuraki's play, which in my opinion a little bit short-sighted. I guess they put a little bit too much emphasis, a little bit too much faith in the IS3's hull down abilities. Obviously the two IS3s heading up there, they expected to absorb a little bit more damage, and to be fair they did, but just not enough for the amount of combat tanks Evil Panda Squad had up in that F-road. And it's a good play by Evil Panda Squad because they didn't get scared, they didn't overreact, they didn't commit resources away from the cap, which ultimately would have lost them the game if they did, because of Bishu, because of Kelly and his 25100s, and the tier 1 of course. So good prediction play by Evil Panda Squad. Lucky Kuraki trying something, but at the end of the day, I think what would have worked is the 25100s and McMoney pushing from one side, the two IS3s pushing from the other side, and just go for the engagement as opposed to the cap.
Yeah, interesting choices being made, but even you said at the start, the way Lucky Kuraki made their lineup, it wasn't really looking like they wanted much of an engagement overall, so I was surprised to see them even going in for it, to be fair, at that point. It looked as though they'd kind of given themselves the draw by that stage, but it was nice seeing them go for something, go for the cap there. Did not pay off, and this I feel is when EPS can come into their strengths. They're a team of let's say experience, say the very least. You've got some very talented players there, so certainly seeing them maintaining their, let's say, their cool, their calm during that. Obviously that split push could have caused them to reallocate too many players to one side when not really keeping eyes on that cap, but they pulled it back, which was good, and they maintained. So EPS will be having the advantage going into the second map here, which is going to be Himmelsdorf, and I'm kind of hoping to see this one really come into effect. I don't want to see a draw here. I love seeing these teams engage. And Lucky Kuraki, how have you felt about their Himmelsdorf performances so far? Anything special there for you?
I've been pretty impressed with them on Himmelsdorf. They've not played it as much as for instance Prokhorovka. They do like the map though. I think they're pretty strong on it in general. But then against the city map, so these Polish teams are always very good on city maps. They have the heavy tank play down to a T, which is very, very important. They can block, they can focus fire. They got the heal play as well. And I think against Evil Panda Squad, Lucky Kuraki is very, very similar. I'm almost 100% sure these two are going to be the closest teams you have on Himmelsdorf in the league at the moment.
No, I tend to agree. Even their playstyle, actually, even on the last map, it is slightly reminiscent of each other. So we will be seeing the tanks coming through eventually, but that's not really too much of a surprising factor. Generally, these guys don't throw in that 110 that we've seen in even in other regions, but this is especially not a matchup I feel they'd go for it. EPS were never one to really innovate with the tanks, let's say. They're always just quite solid overall with their tank play. It was never a let's introduce this 1390 into a map where we don't expect it, or let's use this 416 before we go into play. They weren't that lineup. But now have Lucky Kuraki, not really been any innovation there, but their play's been good.
Yeah, Lucky Kuraki's been consistent. I like their play a lot, actually. I was surprised they beat TCM. Also School Bus. These guys have really been the dark horses coming to this tournament. I don't think anyone really expected much out of them.
I thought they'd be around the bottom of the league, being quite honest.
Well,
after seeing them last
time. They were in the bottom league in Season 1. They were in 11th place at the end of that with just, I think, 5 wins.
Yeah.
So just to come back and be in that top 3 at the moment, it's pretty incredible. And if they do win against Evil Panda Squad here, they're going to be sitting up very high, probably just below Virtus Pro. Depends what happens with Kazna Crew today as well against Drooling Capricorns. But the tank picks are pretty much concluded. Triple 5100, double IS3, double tier 1 for both these two teams, Evil Panda Squad and Lucky Kuraki. I expect Evil Panda Squad are the slightly worse team than Lucky Kuraki on Himmelsdorf. I have to say it. Okay. I think Lucky Kuraki have really stepped up their game, and they've got the perfect players for this map.
Well, we're going to find out if that really comes into effect here, because this will be the second map. It's going to be Himmelsdorf. Let's get that video rolling. So, welcome into the second map. As we said, it's going to be Himmelsdorf. And in the north in red, it's Lucky Kuraki. In the south in blue, it's EPS. Now, EPS getting away to a great start on the first map, truly thwarting Lucky Kuraki's plan, but I'm not sure they can do it 2 times in a row here. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what they can bring, but what initial starts are they going for?
So, Lucky Kuraki, a little bit unusual because they've put all their resource over towards the left side or right side, depends on your perspective, whereas most teams kind of spread them out towards the middle. 1, 2, 3 line's very popular from the north as well. But for Lucky Kuraki, Kelly, OBX, Bishu, Mac Money, Matt PL, and finally Kurak in that tier 1, all heading up towards the hill. So they are going to, I think they want to get rid of Evil Panda Squad because they know also that they're extremely good on the hill. They're extremely committed for the hill.
Yeah.
So you can see Evil Panda Squad sending 3 tanks, all 5100s, up towards that location. And if they do engage, Lucky Kuraki will have a tank advantage, will have a firepower advantage, and they'll almost certainly come away with that win in the firefight. A couple of spots coming out between CNNK and UCI. But the rest of the tanks are for the Evil Panda Squad, at least towards the left side, looking after that 1, 2, 3 line.
Well, let's see here, because there's no tier 1 up on that hill for Evil Panda Squad. They are putting their firepower there, so if Naskos does get caught, there could be some real trouble. The tier 1 opposing for Lucky Kuraki, which is Kurak, is already in position, so he's going to get a good couple of spots through here. He's already sprayed out Naskos there, so he backs away a little. And actually, look at this, Lucas and New Multi-Show. I think they kind of worked out a little bit of what was going on. They sat back a fair way, and it's an interesting start from both sides. And what do you read into this?
That was a nice play by Evil Panda Squad, actually. Basically, Nazkoz just got himself spotted on purpose. So you have about, basically in World of Tanks, you count to 10. Once you get spotted, you count to 10, and then after 10 seconds, you're pretty much always going to be unspotted. It depends, obviously, on how close you are to the spotting tank, blah, 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 blah. But Nazcosme knows he's spotted. He's going to rotate around. He's going to run down. Lucky Kuraki sees that on the minimap. They see him running away. They see he's not on the hill anymore. They think he's retreating, so they can do what they are doing now, commit onto the hill with their tanks. Evil Panda Squad sit below. Lucky Kuraki thinks Evil Panda Squad is not there. Bada-bing, bada-boom, and Evil Panda Squad come away with a good amount of damage. But because 5 tanks for Lucky Kuraki are committed to this push on the hill, they are going to be that tactic is going to be negated slightly, but Evil Panda Squad will be able to do a lot of damage before Lucky Kuraki can do some of their own.
Well, let's find out here, because it is Lucas, Numolcho, and Nazcosme down the bottom. They're now joined by Usin, I believe. The tier 1 will be rolling up there, so he could be in some real trouble soon. But you can see these guys all lined up and waiting. If anyone peers a little bit too far, there will be a lot of damage coming their way. Usin being spotted out, gets taken down. That's given away the game though. So Numolcho and Lucas still well aware there are tanks up here, but are Lucky Kuraki sticking around?
That was a nice little play by Obiect, I must say. Getting a little bit lucky. I have to say UCI and getting a little bit unlucky. The one time Obiect decided to peek, he just found UCI, and so nice play by him, and might actually give Obiect a little bit too much confidence. And might actually put him around the corner, which will lead to obviously 3 SA-47s, 100mm from Evil Panda Squad trained on him and unleashing their fury onto him, and 1,400 HP is just going to melt away within a matter of seconds. But the rest of Lucky Kuraki are starting to rotate back around. Kelly, Matt PL, and Mac Money all just waiting for the push, it looks like, from Evil Panda Squad, expecting the cap rush, which is obviously not coming. The only thing that's really over there is Zagorzni. In the tier 1, just kind of roaming around looking for as much information as he can, trying to gather as much information as he can. So far, just being a methodical player, going through all the motions, making sure he's not actually cutting any corners, because without UCIN, without that tier 1, already Evil Panda Squad are at a disadvantage.
Yeah, they most certainly are. So Zagorzni there, as you said, being very careful. He's got Yankees backing him up, but as we know, no one's in that position. But actually, Potato is coming around to a different spot to get himself down towards that banana line, whereas Lucas, Numolcho, and Nazcos still yet to really move or make a play out. And I think they're being smart in that fact. They know there may be some resistance up there, and actually Raging Potato turret fairly trained on it as well, keeping eyes across. But what's the end game here for these two? Is there a strategy you see being made yet?
Well, Evil Panda Squad can't push, and that's, from the south, basically 1-2-3 line push is statistically is your best option. You're going to win the most times by doing that. Himmelsdorf is pretty balanced in general, so it's a 50-50 win ratio anyway. But Lucky Kuraki know that. That's why they got 3-4 tanks there ready and waiting for Evil Panda Squad to make that push. And you can see Zagorzni is there in the tier 1 in the train station, kind of trying to get some spots out. Obviously it's a tier 1, so 300-meter view range is going to be the most he can hope for, and obviously these are tournament accounts, so you have all the crew skills, you have 100% camo on all your crew, so it's going to be hard for him to spot anything. But if he does get a good peek on, he will find Matt PL and Kelly. Probably not Mac Money, because they are blocked off. Obviously tanks act as solid objects in the game, so if you're hiding behind one, you won't get spotted. That's how for instance, Navi won against Virtus Pro in the grand finals with the AMX 3090s playing, hiding behind the T32s. But Evil Panda Squad starting to commit more resources, kind of like Lucky Kuraki did at the beginning, starting to head towards that hill with all 5 tanks.
Yeah, Potato is joining in. Yankees not too far behind either, and they will have the numbers here. Let's bear in mind that it'll be a 5v, I can imagine a 3 up there maybe, or a 5v2. We'll see, as right now they do start rolling up. Raging Potato at the front of it. Nazcos, Lucas, all keeping it in mind, but they're being very cautious about this.
Yeah, well, you have to be cautious. You have to make sure that you don't get caught out. It's the worst thing when you take damage for unnecessary, and does it look like Nazcosme does get spotted. Was that by Obiect? It was indeed.
So.
Nice little shot, and already Evil Panda Squad's plan being discovered, although only 1 tank was spotted. Obiect doesn't seem to have retreated. This could be his downfall.
Well, it certainly could. You questioned his confidence earlier on, and it's certainly coming back around to bite him. Down to 6-2-1. He outstayed his welcome. But look at this. They're expecting a lot more tanks up here. Yankees and Raging Potato heading up now. Obviously, Those IS-3s, not the fastest things in the world, but they do catch a glimpse of object just backing away. And Kuraki, they now know the hill is free, but that's surely going to be just kind of ringing the alarm bells for Lucky Kuraki to do the push elsewhere.
Well, Lucky Kuraki are in a bad position now because Obiek knows that once Evil Panda Squad have the hill, once they've crested that hill, that Obiek won't be able to get out there, he won't be able to retreat down, so he's pretty much going to go 1 versus 5 in this situation. He has to just do as much damage as he can, and that's going to be the real play, but you can see the rest of Lucky Kuraki are surging forwards.
But look, the entirety of EPS are backing away. Object is still alive, and they're just leaving the hill. The IS-3s are going down, the 5100s led the way. They're expecting the counter push. They've read it correctly, McMoney is there. Perfect analysis from the EPS side. McMoney takes a bit of a pounding. He is down to 942, and this is not stopping. Lucas does land another, but Matt PL and Kelly are both here, and they have some more backup on the way. This could really start to hurt for these two, but Raging Potato goes for the peak. He gets the shot. Kelly gets it from the side as well, and here comes a little bit more commitment from EPS. Shell after shell comes in. Kelly is low. McMoney cannot save him. There we go. Shells are landing. EPS are doing the damage, and they've not lost a single damage-dealing tank just yet. Matt PL, next one surely to fall, but actually here comes the covering fire. It's Object round the back. He's got one down. He gets two. Object is causing serious problems here for EPS. They could have overlooked a massive factor here.
But Yankees has to take down Matt PL.
Let's see if he can do it. First couple of shots come down, and there goes Matt PL. Down and out. Now, 3 tanks left. Well, battle tanks, should I say, left for EPS, up against 2 for Lucky Kuraki. Can they find them? Can they land the shots? Well, Bishu's been spotted out, and Lucas is hot on his trail. 1 minute and 16. Is that enough time?
Might just be enough time. It depends what Kuraki and CNNK can do in those tier 1s, and it depends how much resources Evil Panda Squad commit towards Bishu. If they commit too much, they won't have time to take down those tier 1s.
Well, let's find out what they're putting towards us. Right now, it's Lucas chasing him down. One will land, but 56 seconds left. Zagorni did a smart little split earlier on. Yankees still near Object, but Object's making a run for it. I think this is surely going to be a draw. Bishu will take one, so Nazcos lands another. This is surely Bishu going down. He can't withstand 2 of these tanks. There we go. He is out of the picture, but now 37 seconds to find the remainder here. I'm not sure they can do this.
Evil Panda Squad had to commit minimum 2 tanks to take down Bishu in the AMX 5100. He knew that, and that might just be enough to bring this to a draw for Lucky Kuraki as well. The IS-3, I believe, of Yankees is really heading up the wrong way on the hill, so we won't be able to take down Obiect unless he gets very lucky, unless Obiect peaks. 10 seconds remaining, 3 tanks to find.
It's near on impossible. As you can see, Yankees trying to get up there, chugging away, but it's not going to be too fast in this sort of situation, as we now know, as 0-0 hits, and it will be a draw. But let's kind of take stock of what we saw in that game, because from the very start, Lucky Kuraki looked like they had a plan, putting all the tanks on the hill like that. EPS responded well, but then take me through the decision that they made when they kind of left Object up there alive.
So, they knew that Evil Panda Squad would try and go for Object, or at least they thought they knew it, but Evil Panda Squad played it smart, and they counter knew the fact that Lucky Kuraki would just be committing all the resources along the 8 line. I think it would, their positioning basically gave Lucky Kuraki away. They lost it because of their positioning.
Right.
They were too slow. They should have gone over towards the 1-2-3 line. Their kind of play to stop Evil Panda Squad from capping, they put all their resources next, because the cap was really their downfall. If they came from 1-2-3 line with 2 5100s, maybe a couple of tier 1s, they would have actually won that game. And this is the thing I've been talking about. Why are Kuraki and CNNK alive at the end of that? Have Kuraki or have CNNK alive. Don't have both, especially when Bishu is so far up that hill. He is never going to die in that situation. Try and win the game. Send those 2 tier 1s up the 1-2-3 line. Have them cap. Then when that engagement happens in the middle, Evil Panda Squad will either lose because they have to commit resources to stop that cap, or lose just because they lose the firefight. There's no point drawing the game out if you can win it, if you can have that tier 1, and especially not when you're 1-0 down.
No, I absolutely agree. It'd be a fantastic thing to see them adding another layer to the strategies almost in the way they're playing it, and that would be perfect. But maybe just not there yet. But there is certainly something to add on to their tactics, certainly something to look towards as to how to kind of evolve what they're doing right now and kind of adapt it a little further. Like, okay, well, this is what we need to work on. So hopefully that does come in towards the later part of the season. But the next map is ready, and it's going to be Cliff. So take us through the tank choices these guys have made, because they look fairly similar from my perspective.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah, triple 50, MX3090, double T69, double T1 for both Evil Panda Squad and Lucky Kuraki. This is actually Lucky Karaki's favourite map, 4 times played. One against TCM Gaming, just, well, probably because of their double IS3 choice. A little bit odd, I must say, Magus.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best idea in the world, mate, but keep on trying, keep on plugging. We'll see what happens against C-Play, which is obviously our next matchup. But in this one, I think Evil Panda Squad are the stronger team when it comes to those 30-90 players. I mean, look at the players there. Lucas Yisti, a long-time player from GF Gaming before. New multi-show, we all know him. Yankees has also been doing very well, actually heading up the damage for Evil Panda Squad. If you can have a look on eu.wleague.net, click on Hall of Fame, you can check that all out for yourself. Unsurprisingly, Elian is actually leading the whole board. Some people might not find that surprising. I certainly don't. But for me, I think Evil Panda Squad are going to be the better team here.
I tend to agree. Looking at what we've seen so far, EPS seem to have that next step in their plan. They seem to be a little ahead of the others. So we'll be finding out if it's going to be drawn up or if we're going to be seeing maybe one of the teams taking the advantage here. So guys, let's get ready for Cliff. So, welcome to the third battle here. Cliff will be the map in the north in blue. It's EPS currently leading 1-0 over Lucky Kuraki, who, well, didn't quite show us the glimmer of brilliance on Himmelsdorf that we've seen before, but maybe this is their map. And what sort of beginning are these two going for?
Lucky Kuraki doing the standard thing, heading up towards the big old lighthouse there with most of their tanks. Only one who's not gone over there is, of course, Kuraki, setting up position in the cap, making sure there's nothing sneaky coming for Evil Panda Squad. But this is the thing, guys. If Evil Panda Squad win this one, I'm pretty sure that they're going to win the whole series, because this is Lucky Karaki's favorite map. This is the one they play the most on. This is one they've been struggling at the beginning of the season, but seem to have found a little bit of strength, a little bit of confidence. So Evil Panda Squad will be really, really wanting to beat them here. And I think, as I said before, if they do, they probably will take the series. And they're being pretty aggressive at the beginning, not finding any damage, though.
No, they're not. And actually, it's interesting start out from EPS, putting a lot of players towards the north side of this map. Yankees quite far back, New Molcho as well. And they're not going for the flat-out kind of immediate challenge. And maybe that's just a kind of a little bit of a nod to the fact that Lucky Kuraki are very good at this map and you don't want to play them at their own game. But then again, Lucas is out on a limb pretty much here. Is that a mistake waiting to happen, or is this the plan?
He's okay there. He's got enough cover. He can also run away because of the hill. Obviously, everything's to do with physics, so you jump off a hill and you're going to go pretty quickly by the time you hit the bottom. But I think teams are starting to edge towards this tactic Evil Panda Squad's doing. We saw TCM were very far back in their tactic, and Evil Panda Squad have kind of taken a leaf out of their book. I think it's also a good idea the way they've done it with Yankees very far back in the MX3090, because at the end of the day, Lucky Kuraki, when you have that southern position on Cliff, you can be a lot more offensive around the corners. You can really push in and have a lot more cover. If you look, you've got this to retreat to, and then what have you got here? You've got a couple of rocks, and that's it. And also, if you look around this position, you can kind of see that this is a very sharp drop-off, while this is very shallow. So even your MX3090s can engage across that, and also around here, you've still got the cover, and you can engage there. So generally, from the south, it's definitely a better position to be on this middle area, as Lucky Kuraki, as Kelly tries to connect a few shells onto where Yankees is, but he's obviously going to be staying pretty safe behind that rock. But yeah, For my money, it would be Lucky Kuraki having to engage, because Evil Panda Squad, they can't cross the middle area, they can't cross the open.
Yeah, we haven't really seen Lucky Kuraki doing much. I look back to their game against TCM, I believe it was, and when they did make the engagements and they made the move, it actually went quite poorly for them. But their reactive play, however, was great. So we need to see what they're going to go for here already. Two shells have connected against Lucky Kuraki. Both Kelly and Matt taking a big chunk there. And actually, Matt was one of the standout players who did very, very well for himself not too long ago. Another shell coming through. So good work already from EPS in this kind of defensive posture.
Yeah, Kelly, he takes a shell there, gets spotted out. Good position by Raging Potato. I think for Lucky Kuraki, we're talking about always what they can do. It's what they can't do as well is just as important. They can't flank around like we've seen from other teams. For instance, Evil Panda Squad with New Motor Show and try and take down Raging Potato, because if he does move out of the position and heads up here, it'll be absolute game over, because Evil Panda Squad could go 5 against 4 and absolutely flatten Obiek Bishu, Kelly, and whoever else really happens to be around this location. So
yeah.
But if they do flank around and Raging Potato's still there, it can do a lot of damage to him, possibly take him down, and they'll have that advantage. And they'll be able to go 5 against 4 and win the battle that way. So you have all these options on the cards, and it's just about exploiting them, coming out with the best solution. Lucas Yisti gets spotted once again by Kelly. And for Evil Panda Squad, doesn't look like they really want to make a move. For me, I would start looking towards here, try and engage onto Mac Money,
Yeah.
that AMX 1390, and then really just go from there. You can use your T69s, Raging Potato and Polsved and Nazkozmi, as long as you have the rest of your team in a good defensive posture that they can't just get flattened.
And I kind of want to ask you the question, looking at it from both perspectives, especially Lucky Karaki's here. Now, they're already a map down, and it didn't look good on Himmelsdorf, and this is their map. If I was them, I'd make sure we win this. Do you think that might mean they would go for maybe, rather than getting the draw, they'd go for the win here? Or is that a mental game? Especially you take it down to the fact that this is their strongest map, let's say, or their favourite. It may not be their strongest statistically, but their certain favourite. Surely you'd have to go for the win here if you're down a map, rather than leaving it to the next couple.
Yeah, the next map is actually Steps, so I wouldn't be so confident on that one. Lucky Kuraki have done well. They beat School Bus on Steps, but
true.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard against Evil Panda Squad. It's a very dynamic team on these open maps, Prokhorovka, Steps. And Lucky Kuraki might struggle a little bit, but then again, the confidence has to be with Evil Panda Squad. They might be a little bit overconfident, having seen Lucky Karaki's performance against TCM Gaming on Steps, very lackluster. Well, they tried something and they basically got cornered and really caught out in a bad position, and a position they really couldn't get out of. So obviously TCM did a good job there. But yeah, you're right. I think Lucky Kuraki has to go for a win here.
Let's see if they actually go for it, because just confidence sake alone, if this was my map and I was already down one coming into something that we recently had troubles with, I'd certainly be wanting to do the best I could. But at the moment, Lucky Kuraki not really finding much of a way in as well. They're struggling to kind of find the weakness in EPS, who are playing quite passively, putting those T69s up in these beautiful positions, using their guns versatility there, and we'll see if that really comes into effect. But at the moment, it looks like EPS are happy to let them try and do their thing.
Well, they are 1-0 ahead. That's basically why you would be happy. I mean, I'd be happy if as Evil Panda Squad, they could go to the end of this best of 5 with one map and still win it. That's not very safe, obviously. I think the minimum would be 2 to be really, confidence where you stand, especially when you're in the third map out of 5. But yeah, generally, Evil Panda Squad has no motivation to push forwards. They don't have any reason to necessarily. As you said before, as we've been talking about, I think it's all on Lucky Kuraki to make that move. A map they are definitely a little bit more confident on. They've moved away from the heavy tank lineups of past with double 5100, double IS3, I think, no, triple 5100 IS3 like they used against Virtus Pro, which obviously didn't actually go so well. Obviously, you can check out the VOD on our YouTube channel WGL EU if you've missed any previous match days.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lucky Kuraki doesn't look like they want to push forward. Doesn't look like they want to be offensive here.
Very surprising, and I hope it doesn't come back to haunt them a little later on, because it really could do. Seeing Lucas there just doing the job, keeping They're on a bay, but Lucky Kuraki not really peaking anymore either. They're happy sitting back, maybe seeing if EPS fancy their luck, but as you can see, EPS, a side with a lot of discipline, not going to be making these silly mistakes by wandering in aimlessly, but we are seeing a little movement from Raging Potato actually coming around the northeast side. Maybe go join Lucas here, or maybe Nazkoz, who is up on that cliff face, or the rock face, should I say. And they've got a good couple of battle tanks now in the right position. They might be able to make something out of this. But then again, as you said, not much incentive to do so. And they're happy kind of waiting this one out. But with 1 minute and 45 seconds left, is there even enough time to really do much here?
No, simple as that. There's no time to do anything here. You need, like I say, a minimum 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's also pushing it because you got to kill the tier 1s, one in J2, one in J9, no, G9, also H9 even. So that's going to be hard, but Evil Panda Squad has seen Bishu and Object, also Kelly and Matt PL out of position, so this would be the perfect time to push.
Well, they might go for a little bit of a garbage time shootout, but as you said, the tier 1's going to be hard to find. But nevertheless, Zagorni, I think, has been spotted out there. Actually, knows Polswed who has been, but the fire is coming through there. I'm not going to be sold that this is going to be a defining moment, but let's stick on board and see what we have, because money is going low. He's at one shot now. Yankees will take advantage of that. Object is next. New Mold Show going for the push forward. The T69 goes down, and now actually only one tier 1 left for EPS, but the team that split off to try and find the rest of them, can do very little damage. Matt PL and Kelly left alive against the entirety of EPS. I don't think this is all that possible here.
No, certainly isn't. Kelly does get tracked. It could be dangerous, but immediately repairs, hasn't wasted his repair kit on a previous engagement, so that's good. And at the end of the day, Lucky Kuraki making a bad call to basically be out of position in garbage time when really Evil Panda Squad are going to try and push. And to be honest, I think they could have pushed earlier and possibly won that.
Yeah.
Because of, they got some great players, great focus fire. They just needed to wait until like the 3-minute mark where Lucky Kuraki were already looking a little bit out of position and not very, put together. Unlucky for New Motor Show just tracking correct there. We'll take him down though, but still Matt PL, CNNK and Kelly to find. Yeah,
a little bit too much with 1 second left, and we will be having a draw between those two. So, yeah, as you said, maybe if EPS had a little more confidence in themselves, they could have gone for a push a little earlier, because once they made that commitment, they destroyed the team who were up against them. Obviously, there was a little bit of a hit squad out on their own towards the right side, round the base of the little hill there, trying to find the tier 1s. But still, Lucky Kuraki didn't look so impressive there, I feel, for a map that is their favorite, that is their most played. I didn't really get it. I didn't really see it that much. I felt they played okay, but
no, I wasn't happy with them.
No moment there did I go, oh, that looks like they've got a chance here.
I think for them, they didn't see a way in at the end of the day, which is not... They had to try something at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We were talking about one of their favourite maps, maybe not the map they've been best on, but they've played it the most at least. I think they could have been a little bit more assertive. Look, at the start they went for those little pot shots at the beginning towards the left side of that mound. They should have done that more often. Try and find Yankees as well. That flank from Matt PL and Kelly at the end, which is a good flank, but not when you have 2 minutes left, when it's blatantly obvious that Evil Panda Squad are actually going to push. So do that around the 3 or 4 minute mark. Come up behind Evil Panda Squad. Yankees is out of position. Yeah, he'll be able to provide some covering fire, but he's playing an AMX 3090, which has got not great accuracy. Let's all be honest here as well. Also, the time between shots is going up because every time you shoot, the reticle gets bigger, and when you're further away, it's, you have to wait for it to get small again to be able to actually be consistent with those damage. So it would have been a 5 versus 4.5 situation. I think Lucky Kuraki could have won that one.
And it looks like a very different Lucky Kuraki to what we've seen to this point. Even against TCM, when they were losing out in some of the maps, they still looked a lot more competent than we've seen today, or a lot more confident maybe. I don't know what's changed between that day and today, but they certainly don't look like the team that we saw previous to now. And Steps would be a big proving point to me, because this was one of the maps that Lucky Kuraki against TCM made their move on, which is going to be the next map, Steps. But, this is when they made the move. Now, Magus completely undid their tactic by spotting them out twice. Not only once where it was the first time you're like, oh, that's unlucky, but the second time it was like, all right, that guy's just got your number down to a T. Not much you can do there. But, it was a map they made the decisive choice to go for something on. And I'm looking towards that again, because they're the team that have caused the biggest upsets, yet I'm not seeing much of that today from them.
No, certainly not. Evil Panda Squad seems to have their number, really.
Definitely.
But looking at this tank lineups, we can quickly just run through them. Double AMX 3090 Pershing T69 ×2 double tier 1. That's for Evil Panda Squad. And for Lucky Kuraki, we've got the triple AMX 3090 double T69 double tier 1. For me, I'm actually liking the double T69 lineup this season a lot more than I'm liking the Pershing then. Especially with 3 of them. I think for steps, you want to be having faster lineups. You want to be having those 3 MX 3090s.
Where's your prediction on this one?
I think Evil Panda Squad.
I'm going to have to go with them as well.
Just not just because of the lineup definitely for Lucky Kuraki, but the way Evil Panda Squad have been playing a little bit better.
I tend to agree, but guys at home, let's get ready for that map. Steps. Welcome to battle number 4. Lucky Kuraki currently trailing 1 map behind. Not looking so good today in the south in red and in the north in blue. It's EPS with that map to the good. But steps coming up now. We've seen a very one-sided game play day so far in favour to EPS. But they're only still sitting with a 1 map advantage going into the 4th here. Everything could change, but Lucky Kuraki now need to make that move. What are they going for immediately?
So it looks like Lucky Kuraki heading over towards the left side. The trench side, as to be expected from the north, it's the better position at the end of the day. You can get there quicker. You also just have more hull down and more immediate places to spot, a little bit easier to do damage at the start. Evil Panda Squad going for defensive movement over towards the left side as well. And, you know, the play is pretty obvious what Lucky Kuraki is going to do. Play's pretty obvious what Evil Panda Squad is going to do as well. Lucky Kuraki can head all the way over. Then Evil Panda Squad are going to kind of come around here, maybe start looking towards the defensive movement from the offensive coming out of Lucky Kuraki. But have to wait and see. That could be a good option for them, and I think that's probably what we are going to see at the end of the day. But yeah, Evil Panda Squad need to time this right. They need to make sure they get this one down to a T. But for at least Lucky Kuraki, they're going to go forwards, spot out, and then they're going to treat again.
Yeah, they are indeed. And at the moment, not so many spots being found actually from either side. I'm not sure if anyone's been spotted yet, but they are getting finally into the positions where they might be able to do something here. And funny enough, Lucky Kuraki in the position that Neron undid them last time around against TCM. So money in that 1390, just keeping eyes across. Not spying anyone out just yet. As Nashkoshmi and the M26 Pershing just chilling out, waiting for anyone to peer up and over. And as we said so far, EPS certainly have the number of Lucky Kuraki. They've kind of been a step ahead the whole way here, and they've always had that plan in the background. And right now, do you think it's the same thing happening here?
It looks like it. For now, Evil Panda Squad have committed enough resources for the cap to stop anything from Lucky Kuraki there. They've also got, obviously, a tier 1 down in F0, so if Lucky Kuraki decide to flank from the side, from the south, then they have their, they've got their spotter there, got their number there. But, you know, Lucky Kuraki don't have to worry too much. They are flanking around Bitchu in the T69, probably just for the cap spot as opposed to anything else. Obviously, he's going to have to be careful because he's on his own, supported a little bit by Matt Peel in the MX 1390, but obviously you don't want to be in a 3 versus 2 or a 5 versus 2 situation. Bitchu lets a couple rip down towards the tier 1 places from Evil Panda Squad. But yeah, it's going to be a slow game. In some ways, this best of 5 is kind of like a best of 1 because you have to win 1 map and then basically you're set for the rest of them. That's the thing, you know. But, you know, it just depends if the team really wants to push forwards. They want to make sure that they get every possibility done and, you know, don't want to leave anything to chance where a team has a sneaky tactic for one of these maps.
No, most definitely, and there is always that threat. But on the final map, we could be seeing, you know, either Lucky Kuraki pulling something out, but let's bear in mind, Lucky Kuraki, considering this is Battle 4, they need to get this one under their belt here. they at least need to go in with a draw. They cannot lose. If they lose this, it's game over pretty much. So I'll be surprised if we see an aggressive Lucky Kuraki. I can imagine they'll be fairly passive throughout this one, playing a little bit more of a tense game, let's say, as Ngoni is heading around. He's trying to find anyone out of position, just making sure the south side of those trenches are as clear as expected. And they are.
Some great camera work.
That was fantastic.
Fantastic, great stuff.
See, this is why we can't trust Oliver with things. See, I go for the zoom kind of approach, but this will be a very tentative map here because, well, let's bear in mind, as you mentioned before, Evil Panda Squad have no real reason, aside from the fact they may come down to a final map that they might not like, to really engage here. They can sit back and play the passive game, whereas Lucky Kuraki, they either need to go for a victory here, a good victory to get it on to 1, or to draw it out, but then they can only get a draw overall, even on the final map if they win it. So, you know, let's look at this overall in the bigger picture here. If you were in their shoes, you can either play for the draw on this map, for the safety, you know, go into the final one with EPS with the lead, and then only walk away with, at best, a draw, or would you go for the engage, try and pick up the game, and then hope you can do something in the last map? Where would your opinion be?
I would have to go for the engagement. I think, you know, it's always... We've seen lots of teams camp on steps before, and we've seen lots of teams lose on steps because of the camp. Even, you know, capping is starting to come back into this map. We haven't seen that for a long time. It's always been the engagement over the trench side. But, you know, I just don't think it's a safe movement to be not offensive. Yankees does receive a shell there, 1140 left on that T69, so a little bit of damage going in favour of Lucky Kuraki. Not enough to make a big difference here, and this really does happen to be the slowest matchup we've seen in a long time. These two teams just unwilling to be aggressive. Perhaps something we should expect from them in the future. We'll have to wait and see, but looks like Evil Panda Squad's starting to move a little bit. They are starting to commit some resources. Lucas ESD, Polswed, and Naz Cosmi. The rest of their tanks, though, still up in the north.
Yeah, a dangerous bit of movement, actually, heading around to the other side of the map. Raging Potato still doing the job in that T69, keeping eyes over, but as you said, both sides are fairly happy sitting where they are. To be fair, you know, EPS, even back in the day, were never a team to be all that aggressive. They were a fairly passive side themselves, and the previous Lucky Kuraki from many moons ago, even in the times where they tried to qualify, were not the most aggressive side either. So I guess on paper we should have been like, oh, okay, this is going to go this way, but you know, looking at the season so far, EPS have been brilliant and Lucky Kuraki have been astonishing, but we're seeing neither of that right now. We're seeing a very dull side overall. Yeah,
certainly true. Lucky Kuraki were actually the slowest team in Season 1, which was their only season, including Season 4. But they have been a little bit more aggressive. Evil Panda Squad were very, very slow in Season 3. It's finally, it does come out there. I think he actually got Amarak, so at least a kill going to Lucky Kuraki's favour. But as I was saying, yeah, remember the finals at, Tychy in Poland from the Evil Panda Squad? They were the most slow team ever. But yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles at the end of the day. And Raging Potato,
bringing back bad memories for me of EPS playing very, very slow tanks.
And Eclipse comes up to me afterwards and says, these teams are playing slowly. I'm like, dude, come on, look at your own team, man. Jesus.
You can't be saying that.
You can't be saying that at all. That's not fair. Yeah, but OBX is rotating around. It looks like both these two don't want to be aggressive. Your Panda Squad certainly don't, although their resources are starting to be pulled over towards the northern side, maybe going to go forwards and try and find a couple of tanks from Lucky Kuraki. But again, this is heading towards garbage time, and again, none of these two teams are really willing to do anything extraordinary.
And the sad factor is, really, for Lucky Kuraki, now the best they can do, if this does go the way it looks like, is get a draw, which it's not what you want, really.
No, it's certainly not when they're going on to Ensk next as well, where they got absolutely destroyed by TCM.
Yeah, and
not
EPS,
a great thing, is it?
No, I've seen brilliant things from EPS, especially in New Show on that map. So I'm not sold by the ideas they have coming up here. They may just be giving it away, but it looks like a garbage time push will be coming out. Not sure why, maybe just to make sure their mouse ones still actually work.
That W key.
Yeah, just making sure it's still in place. But as we said, this will probably be a garbage time engagement. The tier 1s are quite split from these guys. I don't think it'll be a decisive victory if this does go down.
Nope. 1 minute and 35 seconds left. 7 tanks. Let's see if they can do it.
Well, they are against the clock. First couple of shells do go against Lucky Kuraki, so Money and Matt PL going down, and still no swift engagement, but Rage Potato and Nazcos focusing down McMoney, but yet to really see that damage start coming in. It's all against Lucky Kuraki here. One shell split between EPS, and I just don't see this going their way. It's not a big, fast engagement this time.
Yankees is going to try and do some damage, and to be honest, Bitchu's in a good position.
He is indeed, but Numolcho isn't. He is now surrounded. He's got 3 tanks staring down. He will fall. Object pushing in. And right now, I've got to say it, it looks like Lucky Kuraki might win the engagement, but definitely won't win the map at this rate, as the reloads will come into question. And it looks like Bishu, Object, and Kelly will stay alive. It'll be Lucas on the run now. He's got 3 tanks chasing him down, but he does manage to escape just about, as Raging Potato still alive. Does manage to spot down Bishu. He could take him down if he does get those shells available, and he does do the job eventually, but still, Lucas on the run, Kelly splitting after him. Raging Potato going 1v1 with Object, and he might do the job if he can land one more shell towards him, but I think that's everything he has. And at the moment, Lucas just avoiding Kelly like a champion. That was so well done, but still. At the moment, I think we are firmly into garbage time. Polswed happily camping this one out, but Kelly has found Lucas. If they can take down Lucas here really, really damn quickly and find Polswed, Polswed's been found, but he's not going down fast enough. 0-0 will be met, and we have a draw.
It was pretty close, I must say.
It was.
Lucky Kuraki needed maybe, I would say 15, probably 30 seconds more, and it would have been a win. OBX doing 1.7k in the T69. Surprising, actually, they won that engagement because, you know, Evil Panda Squad were in the better positions, but it's this thing once again. Evil Panda Squad should have won that engagement.
Yep.
2 things are the reason why they didn't. First of all, they weren't peeking; they were just sitting there doing nothing, so they didn't see Lucky Kuraki coming, which is the biggest problem on Steps. Everyone knows Steps is a game about getting as close to your enemy before they actually know you're there.
Yeah.
Precisely. Then there's the 2 tier 1s playing in these really campy positions very far back so they don't get killed.
Yep.
So you basically, in previous engagements, the tier 1s are there in the foreground to spot
immediately
the push.
spot it out, yeah.
So you don't have that element either. So you're not spotting with your main tanks, you're not spotting with your tier 1s because you don't want to get shot. And you have this situation where, you know, it just comes down to a draw even though you could win. But then again, I mean, Evil Panda Squad couldn't have destroyed the two tier 1s, Kuraki and CNNK anyway because of their positions. They're sitting up in somewhere in the mountain tops, camping somewhere there. But this is going to bring us onto our final map, Ensk. Now, I was talking a little bit about their previous engagement against TCM.
Yep.
Didn't go so well.
No, it did not. It went pretty damn poorly overall. They had a good idea though. If I'm recalling correctly, the 5100 2-man split that they put off, but it did get spotted out by TCM, who weren't playing that passively. They did have the tier 1s in the right spot at the right time, and they kind of instantly realized what the plan was overall. And even from the very start, TCM strangleholded, you know, Lucky Kuraki down to not even be able to get to that green zone, I believe, and they were really stuck where they were. So, you know, if Evil Panda Squad can kind of maintain that sort of control from the very start, that's a dangerous team to going up against. And I'll be very curious to see if Lucky Kuraki go for the same split again this time and try and make it count.
I wouldn't. If I was Lucky Kuraki unless I had literally the perfect spawns, maybe not a good idea to head over towards the green zone. Or if you do, the basic problem with Lucky Kuraki on this map against TCM Gaming is that they stopped at those rail carts and tried to shoot back at TCM Gaming. And once you do that, you can't actually commit left or right because you're going to get caught out by those big BL9s. So you have to head over there first. You have to keep on rolling despite the fact that you might receive 1 shell. At least you're in a safe position. Or just head over towards that city side like we've seen in previous seasons even on Ensk. But maps, tank picks even are starting to come in. Double 5100, double IS3 for Lucky Kuraki, just waiting for Object. I imagine he's going to pick an IS3 as well. Standard picks is triple IS3, double 5100, double tier 1 on this map at least. And indeed, Object is going to pick in that one. Good picks, nothing extraordinary. I mean, sound like a broken record, but that's what we'd expect. The IS3 obviously got a lot more armor on the side, which is what you want on this map.
So the question is, can Lucky Kuraki pull off the draw? They
need a win.
Yeah, they have to win to draw.
Yeah.
And this is all they can do. But do you think they can actually do it here?
Yeah, they could do. Because Evil Panda Squad just picked their 3rd AMX 5100, so this could be an aggressive move and that could be disastrous.
Well, let's find out. The next map and final map is going to be Ensk. So, welcome into the 5th and final map between Lucky Kuraki and Evil Panda Squad. Currently, EPS are leading with that one map advantage, but Lucky Kuraki need to win this one to be able to draw it out overall. Anything other than that, EPS will walk away the victors. So, in the north, it will be Lucky Kuraki in red, and in the south, in blue, it's EPS. And what are we seeing so far?
Luckily, Lucky Kuraki are starting from the north. Their previous engagement on Ensk was from the south. They lost that one. Maybe they're going to be better on this one. Heading over towards the green side, as we would expect. And as you said before, they need to get a win to get a draw. Obviously, win is 3 points. A draw is 1 point, and a loss is 0 points. So they want the 1 point. Evil Panda Squad, all they have to do is hold on for a draw here, and they'll be picking up the 3 points. And obviously, they can win it if they want to. For that 3 points as well. So they are pretty much all over towards the left side into the city. Both these teams are playing the standard start for an Ensk. Lucky Kuraki looking for the cross shots along the railroads. Evil Panda Squad more in towards that city.
And it looks like EPS want to give them a taste of their own medicine, really, this time around. As you can see, Lucky Kuraki getting a little more aggressive, but you head over towards EPS. You've got Numolcho way far back. Raging Potato, absolutely everyone playing this very passive, defensive game. Using the tier 1s a little further forward, as we said, you've got to keep your eyes on your opponent, but Yankees literally making up to the H line is the furthest forward player for EPS. And is this a bit of a taste of their own medicine kind of thing? Because EPS, they can draw this out and they'll still be with the victory here.
Yeah, pretty much giving them the medicine is always the best way of doing it. But looks like Lucky Kuraki don't want to be going over towards the green side. Surprising a little bit, because usually from the south you head towards that green zone, but because they didn't get the spots there, they aren't going to be heading over there. But still, even if the other team is not over towards the right side from the south, from the north, you still have that green zone. It's still a good place to engage. As long as you don't go for the instant cap. You send 2 5100s down here, 3 IS3s in towards the cap, and you just go for that engagement, get the crossfire on and hope you can win that. But looks like Lucky Kuraki more looking towards the city. CNNK going first in the tier 1s, and really it's a matter of timing right now for Lucky Kuraki. Do they risk it for a biscuit to go in at 4, or do they just wait for it and around like 2 minutes and maybe
go
be
for an
unlucky?
all-in, or
be a little bit unlucky with the timing and not manage to find the tier 1s of Evil Panda Squad.
You got to risk it for a chocolate biscuit. It's the only way to go. But as you said, CNNK will be moving forward. It'll be Polswood. Probably to spot him out on the other side if he does push any further forward. And I've got to say, I personally would not ever want to play EPS at a passive game. These guys have mastered the art of not moving. They've literally made a talent out of this. So I wouldn't be like, you know what, guys, I think it's a good idea to try and mimic this. And I think that Lucky Kuraki is slowly getting themselves a little warmed up for a move here. A couple of them moving over towards that railroad line, which is actually fairly undefended. And only Zagorni's pointed out CNNK by proxy more than anything. So it's going to be an interesting one. If Lucky Kuraki commit down this line fully, they actually might get a fair way there.
Yeah, I dig this for a digestive. That's the thing for Lucky Kuraki. They do look like they want to be aggressive, finally looking for that win, looking for the draw. Mac Money going forwards slightly in that IS3, could be caught out, so he's going to be a little bit slower heading past the monument to Stalin there. So a little bit cautious from Lucky Kuraki, but definitely a lot more offensive than they've been so far, and it will be Matt Money to go first. He has got the rest of his team in tow, but they are quite far behind, so this could be bad if they engage wrong.
Well, let's see. There's Numolcho, Raging Potato, Yankees, all trained on this. First shell will bounce, but Money staying fairly safe there as Raging Potato gets himself in a better position, but this is going to be an all-out brawl coming down as Cosme, Numolcho, Lucas, all coming around now. First shell really landing will be against Matt PL. One reply goes back to Raging Potato, but where are the options here for EPS? Can they just go for the straight-out brawl, or are they going to try and pincer around the side?
They have to pincer around the side. They have to have 2 5100s come around the side. use those 3 actually. They got 3 5100s in this lineup, so they can do an absolute killer amount of damage onto the side of Lucky Kuraki, and it looks like that's what they're going for.
Let's see if they commit though. Naskos, Numolcho and Lucas waiting this out. Object is coming around that corner. Naskos being careful, being a little safe here, maybe getting set up. Zugoni can keep eyes onto this, and actually look at this. Lucas backing away. Naskos as well, trying to get to maybe a safer location. Numolcho there as well, and they are thwarting the attack, but this isn't the damage I expected coming out from EPS just yet.
No, they are playing very cautiously. They don't want to push on. They want to get caught out in any bad situation. And also Lucky Kuraki are doing it well. They're engaging at the right times. They're pushing at the right time. Well, but here we go.
Yankees went first. That IS-3 peers round, bounces a couple, but Naskos going in. Kelly's in trouble. Kelly's going low. One more shell will do the job. Naskos lands that, but can they stay alive? Can they hold on here? It looks like they can. Evil Panda Squad, phenomenal coordination, smashing them down one by one. Object is taking a battering. 3 tanks against him. Matt PL struggling away with Numolcho and Raging Potato. These guys are not having a good time. Matt might take down Numolcho, but there'll be others waiting, and he's actually fallen as now Object, the last man really alive here who can do anything in this instance. Lucas and Yankees about to deal with him swiftly. Naskos coming back in. The tier 1 fell, and well, there you have it. EPS picking it up on the final map, taking it at 2 maps to 0 after a 5 battle marathon there. But I've got to say it was just EPS looking that way bit better in the exchanges. Even the focus fire towards the end was absolutely on point.
Yeah, the decision to pick 3 5100 despite their defensive play was on point, perfect actually. And I think definitely Lucky Kuraki need to be taking this loss away with a little bit of pinch of salt, and they need to be learning from Evil Panda Squad.
Definitely.
Because I think with that engagement, with that move, that plan Lucky Kuraki had, I don't think it was a bad one. I think they could be more dynamic if they picked 3 AMX 5100s, and they would have been able to fight off Evil Panda Squad a lot more. You know, in that engagement around the corners, you had 3 5100s there. It would have been fair game. You got the one IS-3 in the right position to get the crossfire on, would have been also good. So, you know, maybe just not the right tank lineup. If you want to be offensive, pick that extra 5100s like you do on Himmelsdorf. Yep. Go for the damage, go for that quick engagement, and also, you know, you could flank around, you could come from the side. Numolcho would have gone down very quickly, so a little bit more options, but Evil Panda Squad just being the better team that time around.
Definitely, I can't help but to agree there, and it's nice seeing EPS finding that bit of consistency really more than anything. They look like a team who's solid and not just passive and defensive. They have those standout players. We certainly saw that on occasion there, but it's now starting, you know, time to start looking towards the next game coming up. It'll be C-Play up against TCM, your game of the day. And what's really kind of keeping you interested in this matchup at least?
These C-Play's been a little bit of a disappointment, despite the fact that they've played the hardest teams at the beginning.
Yeah.
Bar obviously Evil Panda Squad, where they lost it 3-0 as well. I think they're underperforming at the moment. Yeah. So I want to see them actually go forwards. They've obviously had a big argument, obviously had a lot of fist fights and, you know, drama over the loss against Evil Panda Squad. Hate to be in their team speak.
Yeah.
So have they collected themselves? Have they got their heads firmly on their shoulders for their game against TCM, who have been the model of consistency despite their loss against Lucky Kuraki?
No, I absolutely agree. That's a very good point. We said it before, C-Play, a young side coming into this. They could be that tension there if they're not getting the results they wanted. Certainly something to look towards. But anyway, before we get to that, obviously we need to get someone else on the show who you guys at home have been wanting the whole time. So guys, in a quick minute, we'll be back. It'll be Melly taking you through how you guys at home can get involved. So guys, we'll be back in a bit.